While Chicagoans are feeling the pinch in their pocketbooks with all the tax increases and rising prices, folks in Indiana are feeling the pain as well. In fact, in Hammond, Indiana, residents were facing the possibility of double-digit increases in their electric bills. Hammond Mayor Thomas McDermott stepped in to fight for the residents, and he joins me here today. Welcome to Perspective.
Good morning, Monique.
Pleasure to have you. So, a 17% increase could have taken effect last year, but you beat that back. You got residents involved. Talk about that.
Well, we filed an intervention in a rate case against NIPSCO, Northern Indiana Public Service Company.
That's like our ComEd, right?
That's like your ComEd, exactly. And you have to go through a government process to get these rate increases approved. And we contested it. Hammond was one of the only cities that filed an intervention in that case. And we represented basically the northern third of Indiana, and we were successful in beating back that 17% rate increase.
Congratulations on
Thanks.
that. I mean, this is just not the time. You know, people are having enough pain, and for them to have the audacity to try to put that into effect is just unbelievable.
I always talked about if I was the mayor and I put in for a 17% tax increase as a city, they would laugh me out of the
Exactly.
out of the city hall.
You would not have a job right now.
No, I would not.
So now, that was last year, the whole
Right.
17% thing. You guys beat that back. This year, they came back and wanted to increase anywhere between 8%, and some residents would have faced a 20% increase.
Here we go again.
What is going on?
Well, you know, they're coming back for round two. During the initial intervention we talked about earlier, there were some irregularities that were discovered, and NIPSCO sort of pulled back from that initial rate increase. This is round two now. They're seeking a lower amount than they did the first time, but we're fighting that again and making the same type of arguments that we made the first time. This is not the economy to do this in. People are hurting.
Absolutely.
For a monopoly, and it was just reported that the CEO took a $1.3 million bonus last year. I mean, these guys could cut back in the CEO area, cut back in some of the executive bonuses and save a lot of money.
I'm glad you're speaking out about it because a lot of folks just don't. And so we got to make sure we keep shows
but
like this.
But I do pay my power bills on time now. So
Exactly. So much going on in Hammond, which is surprising. You think that Hammond is just this little sleepy town, but you guys have put some strategies in place to reduce crime. And I'm like, what crime is there in Hammond?
Well, it's 81,000 people live in Hammond. You know, we actually physically touch Chicago. It's a Horseshoe Casino is probably what most people associate with us. But, you know, we're going through tax troubles just like Chicago is. We're going through collection problems with property taxes, and it's hard to pay the demand that we have out there. We've managed to go through all this without laying off police officers. And in Hammond, during my administration, crime has dropped 18%. And, you know, we don't have a lot of crime, but the fact is, any amount of crime is too much crime. That's what we always say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another big issue in Hammond is the charter schools. That's big here in Chicago. Yeah. You guys are about to build your first charter schools, I understand?
We're in a temporary location. We're going to open up in the permanent location next year. Built it in downtown Hammond. It's going to be a charter, 6 through 12. It's a great, you know, as a Democrat, it's tough for me, you know, as a Democrat, because the public schools and Democrats go hand in hand, but this is the right thing for Hammond, Indiana.
What are residents saying about it?
The residents are happy. I mean, they're lining up in droves to go to this school. There's a waiting list.
Wow.
We had a waiting list before we even had the school built. That says a lot.
So that definitely says a lot. Now, we saw the issues with collective bargaining in Wisconsin making national headlines. Now that's something that you guys are facing in Indiana. What's the story there?
Well, our legislators actually camped out in Illinois for almost 40 days over the same types of issues that were presented in Wisconsin. And they reached an agreement, and they're back working in the General Assembly in Indianapolis right now. But the same type of issues that are facing a lot of states, you know, whether or not collective bargaining is going to be recognized, whether or not public school systems are going to remain operating in the same way they always have. These are the same issues we're dealing with in Indiana right now.
Absolutely. And another thing that everybody is talking a lot about, in fact, we just recently did something here on Perspective, and that is how to pay for college. And you guys have a way that you're helping to send Hammond residents to college tuition free.
Yeah, College Bound Scholarship Program is a program 450 kids are participating in right now. And basically, if you're a homeowner in Hammond, your kid meets minimal GPA requirements, they can go to college for free.
That is fantastic.
$8,500 a year.
$8,500 a year?
450
folks
kids.
are going to be moving to Hammond and
buy a house in Hammond. You will qualify.
You mentioned casinos earlier. Talk about how the whole casino thing has impacted the economy in Hammond and Indiana in general. You know, that's been a big debate here in Chicago.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's good and bad. I mean, obviously, everybody focuses on the amount of tax revenue that's brought in, but, you know, there are repercussions of having a casino. I mean, restaurants anywhere in that vicinity, restaurants have a tendency to go away because it's tough to compete with the casino. Not only that, we you know, a lot of bankruptcies, a lot of divorces, stuff like that. A lot of people focus on all the positives of casino gaming, but I don't think they focus a lot on the side effects either. So, you know, I mean, I know
double-edged sword, huh?
It is, and I follow the debate obviously in Chicago closely, and this is a beautiful city, you know, and it would be a tough competitor for us, but it would be tough on the restaurants too. So.
Yeah, it would be tough in a lot of different areas. In fact, we'll be talking about that more here on Perspective. I'm so glad that you were able to stop by.
Thank you so much, Renee.
And tell us what's going on there in Hammond, Indiana. Keep that fight up.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of the residents.
Pleasure.